Live Q&A time here on Chicago Bears Now. Submit those questions. That way producer Jack can get them on screen. I'll answer as many as I can over the next 10 or so minutes. Okay, Arnan20, or let's go Adam Roos, actually, to kick things off here. Hashtag Bears, do you believe David Montgomery is worth re-signing with Herbert on a rookie contract and Williams being a good utility back? It's a fair question. He's under contract, Monty is, for one more year, so you don't have to extend him, but obviously he is eligible for a contract extension. But you've got Khalil Herbert. Damian Williams is a free agent, but if you want to bring him back, you can. I think the wild card is Tarik Cohen. Is he a part of this team moving forward? We don't really know with his injury situation. Barely has played in the last 2 years, so that's the wild card to keep an eye on. Hugh Carrito, could we get 2 first rounds and a second for Roquan Smith? Man, that's a lot. I don't think you're getting that much for a linebacker. I love Roquan. He's a beast. You definitely would get a first and something else, but 2 first and a second, that's 3 premium picks. Could you get a first and a second or like a first and a third? Maybe. And even then, I don't know if, I guess I'd consider doing it, but then you've got, no linebackers. Like, who? Danny Trevathan going to rewind the clock to 2017? I don't think Roquan's going anywhere. I think he's a part of this team moving forward. And I think, quite frankly, Matt Eberflus is thinking, I've got my Darius Leonard in this defense. His name's Roquan Smith. So I don't think they're going to go that route. Caden Turner, I saw we had $28 million to spend this offseason, but I've also seen it was in the 40s. So it's kind of tricky right now because free agency actually hasn't started yet. The cap is going way up from last year. I think it's low 40s is what it's going to end up being. Obviously subject to change based on restructuring contracts and all that good stuff. But I've seen around $42 million. I think that's about what it's going to be. But we'll get a clearer answer as we move forward here. James Evans, what do you think about Tom Brady retiring, and what should the Bears do with the O-line? Should it change? It should definitely change the O-line. Ryan Poles is going to make adjustments. Now, it may not be a one-off season fix. It may take the next 2 off seasons. Maybe you get a player or 2 this off season, you got a couple more next off season, and then for 2023 you got a really good group. Thoughts on Tom Brady? Guy's a legend. He's the GOAT. Shout out Nick Foles for beating him last year, but wish him the best. I think it's weird he didn't mention the Patriots in his initial retirement post, but hey, nothing like holding grudges, right? Josh Brown, who has more trade value, Khalil Mack or Robert Quinn? That's a good question. I still think it's Khalil Mack. He's about a year and a half, 2 years younger. He's been more consistent in his career. Robert Quinn is kind of like, his good years are very good. He's had a 19-sack year, an 18-sack year now. He had 12 sacks, I believe, with Dallas a few years ago. But his first year in Chicago, he stunk. The few years before Dallas, he was like a 5-6 sack guy. So he's been up and down in his career. I think Khalil Mack is still a superstar when healthy. Now, Quinn last year was tremendous. And if you get that again, then, well, maybe it's a different conversation. But still think it's Khalil Mack. I think you're probably asking this because, could you trade one, get a first-round pick? I'll ask you guys. Pick one to trade. Type KM for Khalil Mack. Type RQ for Robert Quinn. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So pick one to trade on this mailbag. Just type KM or RQ. Nixon Pamphel, I still think they need to draft a middle linebacker for Roquan, like Ellis Brooks or Brandon Smith, both Penn State. Yeah, in my mock draft, Brandon Smith was on the board during one of my selections. Did not opt to go in that direction. That could be an option. I'll be curious to see if Roquan plays middle or weak side. I think probably he'll play the will there, but we'll have to see what Eberflus's plans are. Another Josh, I think the Bears should use all of the draft picks on O-line and use free agency for skilled positions. I mean, it would be unique, right? 5 picks, draft 5 offensive linemen. If you hit on 2 or 3, you're in a good spot. It would certainly be a bold strategy, but hey, maybe Ryan Poles has bold ideas. Who knows? I don't think that'll happen, but I wouldn't mind throwing a couple darts at offensive linemen in the draft. That is for sure. We'll see what their approach is because obviously there's several needs, not just on the offensive line. DeJuan Redmond, free agent targets at cornerback. We've talked, I did a Bears free agent targets video a couple weeks ago. J.C. Jackson's the big one. I don't think they're going to pay for him because he's going to cost a lot of money. I'm drawing a blank on some other guys as well. Go subscribe, youtube.com/Bears now, and go to the videos tab. You will be able to see which cornerbacks we discussed on that video. I'm just drawing a blank in this exact moment. Jeremy Hood, Tarik Carpenter is a hidden gem watched at the Hula Bowl. Is that the guy I talked about in my Bears? I talked about a different Tarik. I don't think it was Tarik Carpenter, but I'll have to mark that name. Who's the guy I talked about? Tarik Castro Fields. I don't know if that's who you meant, but if that's who you meant, I think he's got some upside. I have not looked into Carpenter at all, though. Kurt Bickford, are we going to try and bring back James Daniels? I think it's 50-50. If you can get him at a reasonable deal, cool. But if someone wants to overpay, have him. I don't think James Daniels is worth, breaking the bank for. He's a good player, but he's not a great player. And you don't overpay good players. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. We got Justin Fields jerseys available for only $90, $89.99 plus tax at chatsports.com/FieldsJersey. Chatsports.com/FieldsJersey. He is QB1 for good, at least for 2022. Pick one up today, chatsports.com/FieldsJersey. That link will be in the comments and in the description. That way you can just click and shop right now. Scott Osborne, Tarik Cohen could be an explosive player on offense. Where is he on his injury status? I've heard nothing. I don't know. I would have to imagine he'll be healthy come training camp, but it's pretty obvious he had to have a second knee surgery at some point. Not sure exactly when that would have occurred. He has not played since, I believe, Week 5 of the 2020 season. So it's been a tough go for him. But I'm with you. I think if he can get healthy in this new offense, I think he would be a dynamic player that you could line up in the slot and out of the backfield. DeJuan Redmond, Michael Gallup, free agent target. Yeah, I'm interested. ACL injury throws a wrench into it. I'd probably do a 1-year deal, 1-year prove-it deal, $8-10 million. If he balls out, then you pay him next offseason. But we'll see what kind of suitors he has in free agency. Danger says, who do you think is a realistic top candidate? What about Chris Godwin at receiver? I mean, I'm down for Godwin. Again, knee injury there as well. But I think he's the type of receiver that would fit Fields, get separation, can also get pretty consistently open. So I would definitely be very, very interested in that. Sagar Galani, so we just going to gloss over the fact that we could have had Harbaugh. Not glossing over it. George McCaskey didn't want to pay him $100 million, and that's what's been rumored out there, that's what Harbaugh wanted. So, I will say this too. If you get Harbaugh, you may not get Ryan Poles. Now, we don't know what Ryan Poles is going to be, and Jim Harbaugh's proven, but Jim Harbaugh kind of outwears his welcome eventually. But, I would have been in on it. I'm not, time will tell if that was a mistake. That being said, I'm excited about Eberflus. I'm excited about Poles. I think that this regime can really work. Subscribe now. We're going to be at 42,000 subs soon. We always have you up to date with the latest Bears news, rumors. We do these mailbags as well, and we will cover everything surrounding the Bears and the NFL as well. YouTube.com/Bears now. Don't miss any of our coverage. Subscribe. It's free. I would greatly appreciate it. Wanted reverse. Matt Nagy should be calling plays or more like flipping burgers and putting toys in Happy Meals at McDonald's. Look, I'm not the biggest Nagy guy, especially at this point, but he's probably going to be coaching again at some point. I know the McDonald's commercial thing and all that stuff, but I don't wish Matt Nagy, ill will. It was time to move on, and the Bears did. So best of luck to him. It did not work in Chicago. Tamika, with time to throw, Fields will be in the Hall of Fame. He's just that good. Way premature, but I do think he has the tools to be really good. I really do. So get him a good line, get him some playmakers. Let's go play some football. Creek Squad, name 1 or 2 SEC players we should look at. If you can get Jameson Williams in round 2, let's do it. There's a couple of Alabama offensive linemen I'm interested in as well. George Pickens out of Georgia. A couple of guys on that Georgia defense. There's a lot of guys in the SEC, just like there are every year. RJ Rockwell, bring Kareem Hunt. Is he a free agent? I actually don't know. Even if he is, I don't think running back is positional need. You got Montgomery, you got Khalil Herbert. Hopefully Tarik Cohen's back. Maybe you add a cheap back as well. But yeah, you don't need Kareem Hunt. Scott Osborne, what about Mike Zimmer as the new DC? I don't think it's super likely, but I wouldn't completely hate it. He knows this division well, and he knows how to coach defense. So yeah, I mean, I'd be open to it. Juan Espinoza, where does Allen Robinson go for his next team? That's a good question, man. I think Patriots are a team that makes sense. I think if the Jags weren't a team he already played for, I'd say the Jags, honestly. Detroit, maybe? Isn't he from Detroit? I think he is. They need a receiver. There will be suitors. Now, he may not get the money he was expecting, but there will be suitors for Allen Robinson. William Brock, are there any box safeties in the draft? There always are. I haven't studied safety specifically that closely yet. That's an area I need to do. But I see where you're going with this. If Eddie Jackson kind of gets back to being that roaming center fielder type, then you get a box safety next to him, and that would help. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in targeting one of those guys, in the middle or later part of the draft. Do you think Matt Eberflus will be a good head coach? Type Y for yes, or you can type your N for no.